Good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome and thank you for joining NJ4S in our first webinar of 2026. Today, we are going to be talking about winter burnout because it is real, seasonal stress, and emotional fatigue, and we're going to provide preventional tools for the new year. Today, we have Safa Basadiq, who is a supervising prevention consultant for NJ4S Union Hub. As a graduate of Keene University, receiving her Master's of Social Work, she has worked in community behavioral health with a focus on mental health, youth mental health. Safa grew up in Edison, New Jersey, where she found an interest in learning about different cultures and diverse populations. Most of her work has been involved in the personal growth and professional development of youth and young adults, promoting the pursuit of healthy, holistic lifestyles. Her favorite quote that she leaves everyone with is in the words of Steve Jobs: "Don't educate your children to be rich, educate them to be happy. So when they grow up, they understand the value of things and not the price." And now I will turn it over to Ms. Basadiq. Mrs. Basadiq.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome. I would like to welcome everyone and thank you for being here. Today, our webinar is entitled Winter Burnout. Winter burnout is real, seasonal stress, and emotional fatigue. Prevention tools for the new year, with a focus on supporting mental resilience during the cold and darker months. Again, like I said, I want to welcome everyone. Today, our topic may be a little heavy because January can be especially heavy. And this space is going to be about understanding why that happens, learning some practical ways to protect our mental and emotional energy through the colder months. So without further ado, all right, so I would like to start by normalizing something. January is not just a fresh start for everyone as the New Year's, approached, and we are up and kicking specifically for 2026. Many people come into the new year already feeling depleted, with the holidays just ending, and most of us using up a lot of our social battery. We can feel pretty empty. The winter does affect our mood, motivation, and emotional bandwidth. So the burnout doesn't necessarily mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means that your system has been under sustained pressure without a lot of recovery. So you're not alone. The pressure is real. The winter does change in our energy, and it may fluctuate from being at a high charge to maybe a low charge at some times. But again, I want to emphasize that the burnout does not necessarily mean that you are failing. So January is a perfect storm. And as the holidays end or, have ended, or, maybe some of them are just phasing out, our routines have changed significantly from the end of the previous year into the new year. And now we have to change back into some sort of equilibrium. So the excitement has faded away. That can cause some anxiety. Maybe the anxiety and pressure of going back to certain expectations that you maybe had on the back burner. But this at the same time, the atmosphere is also impacting us. So the daylight is decreasing. The weather is really limiting. It's limiting our movements. It's limiting our connection. And on top of that, we are often held and told that this month is to reset our goals and habits and our mindset and our approaches to certain things. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and that mismatch, low energy with the high expectations, can create some emotional strain. So post-holiday emotional crash out can happen. And nonetheless, we can't avoid the shorter days and less sunlight. Definitely impacts our mood. Maybe a seasonal affective depression can occur. And then, like I mentioned, the pressure to reset. Maybe we're not ready to go back to that reset, right? And we have fewer breaks and more expectations. So what exactly is winter burnout? It often does not look so dramatic, but it could be very gradual, and it can be at a low simmer. So it's not always a break, like a huge breaking down. It can look different. Burnout looks very different in the winter than regular burnout. It's like a slow dimming sensation. You may feel emotionally drained, You may feel disconnected. You may feel like everything is taking an extra amount of effort. And then many people say like they're functioning, but they don't necessarily feel like themselves. That quiet exhaustion can still be considered as burnout. So emotional exhaustion, chronic stress without recovery. So being at a point where we're constantly either on the defense or our nervous system is impacted, and we didn't necessarily have a point of recovery or recuperation. Sometimes that can cause us to feel numb or disconnected, especially going from maybe a time where we were connected with family and the, excitement of the end of the year. I call it the burrs, right? September, October, November, December, where everything is, we're around a lot of people. There's holidays, there's occasions coming up, right? And then now all of a sudden we're at the other end of the spectrum where we feel disconnected or numb. So this also impacts our energy. So a reduced energy despite some effort. But I want to make it very clear what burnout is not. So there's a lot of shame when it comes around burnout, especially in the winter. So you might be telling yourself, I'm lazy, I'm ungrateful, or maybe I'm not trying hard enough, right? But the winter burnout is not a character flaw. It's biological and it's an emotional response, right, to prolonged stress combined with the seasonal changes. I know myself, I'm heavily impacted by the seasonal changes. I'm thriving when the sun is out and, the days are longer and the weather is nicer and, we get our natural vitamin D. But at this time of the year, I do feel a sense of like a change in my attitude and my behaviors as well. So the prolonged stress combined with seasonal changes has a heavy impact on us. So when we remove the shame and these feelings of, maybe I am not motivated, prevention can become possible. So again, it's not laziness. It's not any type of weakness. It's not a failure to be positive. But we have to reframe our thinking and realizing it's a normal response to prolonged stress and seasonal changes, which are out of our control. Now, burnout gives us signals long before we reach a breaking point, but sometimes we may ignore them. These signs can include emotional, physical, and cognitive changes, cognitive or behavioral changes. These are our early winter warning signs. So paying attention to the early signs can allow us to find ways to intervene with care instead of responding in crisis. So just to break them down, emotional exhaustion may look like irritability, impatience, feeling numb or disconnected, maybe a sense of loss of joy, so maybe some depressive symptoms, and emotional sensitivity or shutdown. Emotionally, burnout may show up as these symptoms, right? People often feel sensitive, maybe a bit overwhelmed, maybe a flat numbness, maybe feeling just deflated, maybe feeling disconnected, like I said. But both responses are the nervous system's way of coping with the overload. Physically, our bodies will always tell us when we are in burnout, and oftentimes our body will speak up for us first. So with that being said, persistent fatigue, maybe sleep changes, headaches, feeling like you can't move or do anything, just feeling, that's when that lazy feeling comes in. But we're not lazy, it's just our physical manifestation of the burnout is happening. So maybe frequent illness, maybe a cold that's been lingering for some time, and you can't quite shake it, right? Maybe muscle tension, sleep changes, not being able to get enough rest, or, that prolonged, I can't go to sleep, I'm tossing and turning, and then in turn, I'm not able to wake up and feel charged and refreshed, right? And getting sick more often. So not just like staying sick, but I feel like I was just sick a couple weeks ago. Why am I still sick? These are not signs to push harder as much as they're signs to slow down and support your system. These are the indicators that we have to step back and kind of reevaluate what's been going on with our bodies. And cognitive and behavioral signs. So, cognitively, burnout shows up as maybe some brain fog or having a hard time concentrating. You might procrastinate, so you might be throwing things off to another time and just saying, I'll get that done at another time. I don't have the energy. I don't have the mind space. I'm not in the, proper state of mind, right? You might even find yourself withdrawing from your social circle. And then maybe you're feeling that you're just surviving and just, flow going under the radar so that you're just making it to the next day, right? So that's going through the motions. Many people describe this as, just managing the day rather than engaging. So let's do this. I'm inviting everyone to take a moment, and we'll take a couple minutes to pause during our time together to reflect. So which of these signs resonates the most with you right now? Is it the emotional symptoms? Is it the physical manifestations? Or is it your cognitive and behavioral changes? There's no judgment at all because things can show up differently for everyone. And awareness isn't about fixing, it's about listening. So let's just take a couple moments to think which one is resonating the most with me right now. So for me, it would definitely be physical. I'll find myself having the sleep changes, the headache sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I just want to be in bed, but then when I'm in bed, I can't necessarily get proper rest. That's the way it shows up for myself. And like I said, everyone is different. So prevention starts with permission. So when we allow ourselves to break that, kind of monotony, that's when the prevention can start. Burnout prevention begins with permission. Permission is to accept that the winter requires a different rhythm, maybe a softer rhythm, maybe a slower rhythm. It's not the season for maximum output. Rather, it's adjusting to expectations that no one is the most protective steps. So now this is the time for us to kind of see what has not been working and what can work, right? So the season naturally asks for rest, reflection, conservation of energy, and adjusting your expectation now can protect your mental health later. So I'm going to offer some tools for this season. So tool number 1 will be lowering the bar. In the winter, prevention often means lowering the bar intentionally. So instead of the cliche new year, new me vibe that we get heavily, we've been getting it forever, we want to shift towards another perspective. So a new year with gentler expectations. Instead of racing, let's do a soft jog. Let's do something more manageable. So this season is about maintenance, stability, and not major reinvention. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's make sure that we're moving at a steady pace. So with that being said, instead of major life overhauls, focus on stability. Ask yourself, what does maintaining my well-being look like right now? And ensure that we're being gentle with ourselves, because gentle consistency is more sustainable than an intense change. Our second tool is what I call energy budgeting, right? So we all know what budgeting is, and we're going to treat our energy in that same way. So think of energy as a limited resource, especially in the wintertime, right? So think of that hibernating bear. They're conserving something. So we want to kind of conserve our energy. And every task, interaction, or obligation costs something, right? Burnout happens when we spend energy without replenishing ourselves, because every task and interaction or obligation will take a toll on us. Energy budgeting helps us become more intentional about where our energy goes. When we overspend it, burnout happens. The goal is to become aware of what is draining our energy and how do we help to restore it. With that, I'm giving in like a tool part two. So my recommendation is to choose a daily non-negotiable that will help you to restore yourself. Not five, just one. This could be exposure to daylight, so maybe getting out a little bit earlier. And we have that short period of daylight, so maybe if you wake up a little bit earlier and get some sun or get a walk, or get even if it's just something quick before our hectic daily routine, right? Or maybe during our lunch breaks, maybe going outside for a bit. I know it could be cold, but maybe taking a quick couple minutes just to be engaged with that sunlight. Movement, take a quick walk, or move your body somehow. Warmth, ensuring that we are adequately protecting our bodies from the changing weather. Nourishment, or even quiet. So even just taking some time for yourself. So like I said, these small, consistent habits protect us more than the occasional big reset. So little, small, manageable tasks are able to be sustained. The third tool is a micro reset. So micro resets are very brief. It's a brief interruption to break up the stress before it accumulates. These moments, 5 to 10 minutes, can be as short as 10 minutes. They include deep breathing, even stretching, like I mentioned before in the previous slide, stepping outside, or just being more in tune with your senses. This way you can help to regulate your nervous system. So they don't need to be perfect or planned, but be intentional and happen regularly. And lastly, an emotional check-in. So checking in emotionally helps to prevent burnout from going unnoticed. They help us to prevent the burnout early. Simply naming what you feel can reduce your emotional overload. So ask yourself, what do I need more of? And this can help kind of guide where we're at. Awareness can create a space for compassion. So what do I need more of this week? Do I need to rest? Do I need to organize myself? Do I need to meal plan? Do I need to call a friend or connect with my support system? This increased emotional awareness can help with managing the burnout and without requiring immediate solutions, but just management. I'm just going to emphasize before we near the end of our webinar, building winter resilience looks different on everyone. So resilience in the winter is quiet and steady. It looks like choosing compassion over comparison, consistency over intensity, and being a proactive choice. Think of like a gentle, subtle snowstorm. It's the same way. Resilience isn't about pushing through, but responding wisely and just taking a moment to listen to yourself, listen to your body, your emotions, and being able to manage our three areas, and viewing it as a proactive strategy rather than a reward. Reframing the winter, it's not a setback. It's a season with purpose, just like the other seasons, just like, spring is going to be our next season. So it's one of those moments where things are a little bit quieter until we flourish into the next season. So like I said, approach it with purpose. Slower doesn't necessarily mean stagnant, and it doesn't mean stuck. So although things are not as enjoyable or bright or like the spring and the summertime, or even the fall, it's a little bit quieter, but it doesn't necessarily mean stagnation. Conserving your energy will help you prevent a deeper burnout in the long run, and realize that you're allowed to move at your own pace to support your well-being. You're allowed to honor the season without guilt, and conserving your energy helps to do that. So to summarize, winter burnout can be stressful, without a doubt, but early warning signs do matter. January burnout is real. So just remember the consistent care, self-awareness, small shifts are meaningful and making a difference. Small, consistent care goes a long way in protecting your mental health. If there is anything I do want you to remember from today, let it be this. January burnout can be overwhelming, but being able to continue with the mindset of treating yourself with care helps to protect yourself. And as we close, I do invite you all to reflect on this question. I will leave it to you. What do I need to protect myself this winter? What do I need to protect my energy? Take some time to tend to yourself and realize that protecting your energy for this winter can help you flourish in the spring. Thank you for being present today, and thank you for choosing to care for yourself during the season that is most demanding. And I invite everyone to please give us some feedback. I have 2 QR codes, English and Spanish. For this purpose, you feel free to use your phones to do the QR code on the screen. If you would like to reach out to us, our email address is provided. And feel free to give us feedback. How did you feel this winter? Or what are some tools that you've been using that's been helping? All right. Keep posted with us on our social media. This is also our QR code for our social media. I thank you all for joining the webinar today and have a wonderful winter.
Okay, thank you, Safa, for that wonderful presentation. Thank you for all those tips and tricks. You can find this information also listed in the comments down below. Thank you for joining NJ4S in 2026. We hope to see you again. Have a great day.